Well, that's it. Time to find out if Jurassic's a classic.
Welcome back to HiveMind Unlimited.
And welcome to another episode of our movie series, How Did It Age? Today, these two fossils are going to tell you how Jurassic Park aged.
Yeah, we're almost old enough to be alive when this came out. In fact, he was.
I was alive. No, wait. No.
Yeah, you were.
No, I wasn't.
What?
This came out in the summer of 1993. I was born in the fall.
He's born in the fall and he has a long john and his name is Riley Savage.
Context.
Okay, this is a wonderful Steven Spielberg flick. We all know him from movies such as Jaws or E.T. or AI. It was written by Michael Crichton. He wrote the original novel, and David Cope adapted the screenplay with him, and it came out as the same year as Schindler's List. So there's like a twofer that year for Steven Spielberg. Stevensberg. He did Schindler's List and this.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a rocker. It made $914 million in its initial box office run against a $63 million budget. And upon later release, I think in 2013, they re-released it. It eclipsed the Billy mark. So it's a part of that $1 billion box office club. It was the biggest movie at the time of all time in its box office earnings, surpassing Spielberg's E.T. and then was later surpassed by
Titanic.
JC's, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It stars Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough, Bob Peck, Sam Jackson, Wayne Knight, and many more. It is a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, an 8.2 on IMDb, and a 4.1 on letterboxd. And our guy Raj, kind of hesitantly, I was a little surprised, only gave it 3 stars and says, on the monster movie level, the movie works and is entertaining, but with its profligate resources, it could have been so much more.
And for plot of this movie, the film follows 2 paleontologists, Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler, who are recruited to tour a new amusement park full of cloned dinosaurs. The safety of the island park is compromised when Newman from Seinfeld tries to steal dinosaur embryos to make some extra cash. Meanwhile, Dr. Sattler uses manipulation and pathos to trick Dr. Grant into wanting to have children, and Samuel L. Jackson smokes cigarettes.
He does. I have a sig count later, so we'll.
Oh, you did a sig counter.
I did during it because I love his cigs. They never touches them either.
What do you mean?
They dangle. He never touches his cigarette. Every time there's
it's just in his mouth.
It's just in his mouth, and when it gets to the tense moment at the end, it's literally smoking the butt. He's like,
yeah.
Yeah. For some further context on this movie, it was kind of a groundbreaker in CGI shots.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the first like bridge or realization that CGI could actually look real, I guess you could say. But they do still use a ton of animatronics and puppets and miniatures and stuff. So for a lot of people, me included, this is kind of that perfect crossroads where there's not too much CGI. Like, as you can tell, Jurassic World and all the Marvel movies, everything that comes out now, there's no use in like making miniatures or like going to Hawaii, any of these other things that like make some of the stuff feel a little more real. Everything's just overloaded CGI. So as groundbreaking as this is, this movie only uses 55 CGI shots. And in most action movies and stuff now, it's like well over 2,000 shots of CGI. I think that's kind of cool. Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones fame, Steven Spielberg, was originally like asked to be Sam Neill's character, turned it down. When he saw the movie, he was very grateful that he did. He didn't think he could do it, which I think is kind of funny because Sam Neill is basically just playing like an Indiana Jones. Like he literally has the hat and is like out there in the dirt. And Jim Carrey auditioned for Jeff Goldblum's role.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Just kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's a freak, dude. His first line in the movie is just like maniacally laughing in the helicopter. He's like,
Yeah.
He's like, y'all dig up dino bones. I didn't know he could be so sexy and weird.
What? That's like Jeff Goldblum's whole thing.
Hey man, now he's old and I hate old guys.
Like he's so smooth and silky. Like that everybody talks about just how alluring he
is alluring. I will say that.
And I do love the part where Dr. Hammond at one point's like, I bring scientists, you bring rock stars.
Yeah, he's a rock star.
He really is. He's like a leather jacket. And he's like, so is your wife available?
Okay, it won 20 awards overall, 3 Academy Awards, mostly for technical achievements. Most of the dinosaurs in this movie are from the Cretaceous period.
Yeah.
So that's controversy. There is a feminist reading of this movie and novel that I'll get into later. I'll sprinkle some of those facts in on you. And the T-Rex roar roar was created by a mix of dog, penguin, tiger, alligator, and a baby elephant. So that's fun, right?
Yeah, they just mix them all together.
That is a lot of fun. And the two kids died.
2 kids died?
Yeah, they got eaten by Jeff Goldblum. Old Hollywood, man. It's classic.
Had you seen this movie before?
A bunch as a kid. I obviously didn't see it in theaters, but I grew up watching this a lot.
I saw it one time when I was 9, and I legitimately did not really remember it. I remembered the vibe and what it looked like and all that stuff, but I was like, I don't know what's gonna exactly happen.
Yeah, it's so classic Spielberg. It just kind of goes on you.
Yeah, and then I did watch Jurassic World afterwards. Yeah. Just because I was like, I want to see
you skipped a few.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch in between, but I was like, let's see Chris Pratt and the CGI shit. And that movie, I will tell you what, not nearly as good of a movie in terms of the acting and writing is really bad in Jurassic World. But I'll tell you what, that movie gives you exactly what you want if you're a hedonist.
Yeah.
In your mind, you're like, well, I hope the T-Rex fights the fake T-Rex. They're like, yeah, that's going to happen. Everything that you think this would be sick if this happened. Oh, it happens. Yeah. At one point, there's a scene where pterodactyls just attack the amusement park like the movie Birds.
Yeah.
Like Hitchcock's Birds. And it's literally people running and getting picked up and thrown everywhere. It's awesome.
Spielberg, a lot of nods to Hitchcock, nods to Kubrick in this too. There's a lot of good stuff.
Before we get into our categories, I do want to say, if you want to know what movie we're watching next for this series, join our Patreon or become a member on the main channel, HIVEMIND on YouTube. We post it a week ahead of time so you know what movie we're watching, so you can rewatch it and watch these a little fresher.
Fresher, baby. All right, let's get into some lines, baby.
All right. Can I just blow through mine really quick?
Yeah, please. Because
I didn't write down a lot. I just kind of absorbed the film. We did watch it separate. We don't usually do that. We usually watch the movies together. Graydon was a little sick this week, and I was working a ton at home, so I was just like, I'll just throw it on. So number 1, I have the classic bingo, dino DNA.
Yes.
Now that I kind of, in my mind somewhere deep, I knew that was from this movie, but people say that all the time, and I didn't connect it all the way. So I was like, oh, duh, that's from this.
Yeah, that's what I say when I bust.
Because you're old. Old cum is basically what he's saying. Dino DNA. And then I have just a bunch of classics I didn't realize were from this movie. Life is like a box of dinosaurs. Don't open that box. What we have here is a failure to keep the dinos under control. I'll be back with dinosaur food. Does anyone need anything else while I'm out? If you build it, we'll put dinosaurs in it. If you're a pterodactyl, I'm a pterodactyl, and you're gonna need a bigger T-Rex. But that one's actually from Jurassic World. Yeah. I kind of mixed them up because I watched them one after another. But they needed a bigger T-Rex because society has become so overstimulated, and everybody needs more, bigger teeth, bigger dino, and so they start genetically making them bigger. That's Jurassic World. That's not Jurassic Park. Your turn, Graydon.
Wow, I forgot about a lot of those lines you wrote. Those are really good.
I didn't write them. They're in the movie.
When Hammond shows up on the helicopter and he gets to Sattler and what's Sam Neill's character's name?
Dr. Grant.
Yes, Grant.
DJ Dr. Grant.
DJ Dr. Grant. He shows up on the heli and gets there. He busts in the trailer, opens up the champagne and stuff, and he's talking about the park, and he's like, oh, and kids are going to love it too. Dr. Grant turns to Sattler and goes, what are those? And he's asking about another something in the conversation, and Sattler turns to him and goes, oh, those are small versions of adults, honey. Which I just love.
I love Laura Dern's smirk there.
Oh yeah,
because it is very realistic. It is like a couple, and she just said what she perceives as a zinger. Conversation keeps going, and she's sitting there
yeah. I think a lot of the exposition in this movie, Steven Spielberg does this all the time, is kind of interwoven or talking over or slipped in some funny lines in between, instead of some doctor coming and being here's how I mix the DNA. There's a good example of that with the crazy game warden from Kenya when he's describing the velociraptors and how smart they are to Dr. Grant when they're at the exhibit. Sattler and Hammond are having a conversation in front, and the game warden and Grant are having another conversation in the background. They're both kind of talking, but you're getting info from the game warden. And I like during this too, like you slip a zinger in while Hammond's explaining the park. Just clever movie stuff.
Yeah, it makes it feel a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
That's how conversations actually happen instead of it being like directly to the. And I think the movie does trail into that. It ends up being a little like more corny towards the end.
Yeah, I think if it came out now, like I said earlier with the CGI stuff, it couldn't really, but it would be more like 2.5 hours. It's like cut at like 2:05 or something. And I think you kind of get to a point where it's like, well, the DNA has got to be at this temperature. And you kind of have to like rush in a bunch of explanations. But anyway, the aforementioned Goldblum laugh on the helicopter, not really a line, but that is like, it goes on so long. He's like, and you're like, what the fuck is that? I also love Goldblum's line in that freakish scene where they're all having lunch in the projector room. A more like strange exposition there. It's like showing all the plans and stuff. Also, no one takes a bite of their meal the whole time. Like they have a couple conversations and Hammond's like, all right, let's see the park. And he still has like perfectly stacked onion straws on his Chilean sea bass.
Which he says Chilean.
He does say Chilean.
Chilean sea bass.
During that, Goldblum questions Hammond's ethics and says, what you call discovery, I call the rape of the natural world. It's like, whoa, all right, tough guy. There's a good line as they're walking through the main lobby where Sattler and Grant are kind of going back and forth and you just kind of overhear it and they go, so we'll be out of a job because there'll be no need to dig up dinosaur bones if they're alive. And he says, don't you mean extinct? They're like saying that as they're going back and forth. That's a real line. Or not, that's like a line Spielberg took from the cast when the computer generating team like showed them imagery of that little herd of dinos running. They like showed how real it could be. And one of the animatronic puppeteer guys said that to Spielberg. And then he said, don't you mean extinct? And then he just put that in the movie.
Ah, that's great.
Which is a great little thing. And apparently Steven is like terrible to work with on this movie because no one could see any of the CGI. And like nowadays they'll like fix things to like interact with or whatever. But this was like the dawn of it. So a lot of those scenes where like that initial one when they're looking at like Bronchiosaurus or whatever, they had to shoot like 12 times. And Steven Spielberg keeps coming up with lines. He'll be like, oh no, what if you said this? And then people were like really frustrated. And that's like, seems like such a simple scene. But when you imagine they're just in a field in Hawaii, like pointing up at nothing.
Oh, you can tell in this movie, like sometimes they're like, they're like pointing like a little bit like aimlessly. And I kind of liked that. But at the same time, like that CGI looks good for 1993 for sure. But then I was like, I knew there was going to be some like puppet stuff or whatever. And I was like, better not all be this because it's not going to feel real. And then they're like, obviously the Triceratops scene is like a big one because they're really touching it. It really is he like,
lays on it.
So, like they do a lot of like things to really make it feel, they write it in a way that it makes you confront whether it's real or not. And you have to kind of believe it.
Yeah. The worst is like when they're running from that herd and they stop behind that tree because motion in motion, like when you have the blur with the old CGI, it looks pretty real. Like when they're running and they're going by them, but the second they stop and they run over the log, it's like, oh God.
Oh, the log is so bright
it
too.
looks so bad.
Yeah.
Some other funny lines on the initial tour when they're in like the little ride and seeing everything. The lawyer asks Hammond, he goes, when they're looking at the scientists who aren't animatronic, obviously he goes, are any of these characters autoerotica?
Oh, he just is mispronouncing words the whole time. It's supposed to like, the idea is like, oh, this guy's not very smart. He's like a smooth talker, but you can tell he has no idea what he's talking about. But he does that a few times. And that mispronunciation, I was like, what? Why did they write that one? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, or why'd you keep it? You're like, that's good.
Yeah, he says autoerotica. It's very weird.
I think the greatest line in this movie is when they first start the tour, they say, God creates dinosaurs, God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man, man creates dinosaurs, dinosaurs eat man, woman inherit the earth.
At one point it says man kills God.
Yeah.
There's somewhere in there because it's such a Goldblumism.
It's a great
It like
line.
is just the way he's like.
That ties into the feminist reading
of
this whole story is that all the dinosaurs on the island are meant to be women. You know, they're made that way so they can't reproduce. Yada, yada. The women inherit the earth. Whatever. Men are evil. I love in that initial tour scene, Grant asks Goldblum's character, do you have any kids? And he's like, oh yeah, I love kids. And then he's like, hey, I got multiple wives. I'm always on the lookout for a future ex Mrs. Malcolm.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
just gross.
He's such a scumbag.
Total
Yeah. He has
scumbag.
3 kids, takes a shot of his
sip
flask,
liquor.
and then says that.
Yeah.
And then he says, is she available, by the way?
Yes.
And he's like, what? And then he's like, are you guys? And he's like, yeah.
I literally have in my scenes when Grant is a cuckold and Malcolm is performing a mating ritual on his girlfriend because he's doing
the water
and he's
dripping
like,
thing. Yeah.
Slight imperfections, microscopic as they might be. It's like, oh, why is he doing it? I'm jumping a lot here, but I love once Dr. Grant becomes a father, essentially, to Hammond's kids after they survive all their turmoil, they're sitting up in the tree for a whole night that they sleep in. And Tim, the little boy, just starts telling dino jokes. It's like, what do you call a blind dinosaur? No, I don't know. He goes, do you think he saw us? Which is good. And then, yes.
Do you think he saw us Rex about
It's
the
like
dog?
Yeah. Those lines are good.
Right. I will say though, that scene is something to confront. Kind of it calls into question some of the themes of the movie. He says he's going to stay up all night.
No, yeah. And he
falls asleep.
He falls asleep like an ass.
He's like, oh, I'll be awake all night to make
Don't
sure there's
worry.
no more dinosaurs coming. Dinosaurs. He says,
Don't worry, kids. I'll be up on that.
Yeah, and then he wakes up with a dinosaur in his face and
He's
goes,
like, yeah.
he's eating leaves.
Yeah, she.
Yeah. Do you notice that about the T-Rex?
Do they call it he?
They call it he like the whole time.
Well, he's big bad boy.
I know, but it's like they're all women, all female, and then he just literally is like, he's like, he can't see us if we don't move.
Classic 90s misogyny.
I don't think so. I think it's just literally like they forgot.
Okay.
And it's hard to see a T-Rex as a woman in a weird way because it is so ferocious.
Women are so strong.
They're strong, but generally things that are ferocious in the wild, you go, oh, look at him.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. It's like an instinct. And it's something we have to fight against for sure.
Other subtle feminist symbolism that I want to mention, just before I forget, while they're on the helicopter, this is the tiny thing that everybody always points out. Everybody's putting on their seatbelts as they start to land quick. Yeah. Dr. Grant takes the 2 female ends of a seatbelt and they won't buckle, but he ties it as if to symbolize nature finds its way. Yeah.
So essentially, those are seatbelt pussies, and he's landing. He's like putting those together, and then instead he
turns it into frog pussy and dick, and then they have baby.
I was gonna say that the tying together of the seatbelt symbolizes the strap-on.
Oh, the scissor.
What was that?
Oh, the scissoring.
Oh my God.
I love in the same tree scene. First off, the girl's scared, and then they go, "It's veggie," and she's like, "I'm veggie," and then it burps in her face, and Tim just goes, "God bless you!" and like yells at it, which is awesome. I love that.
I also love the kid at one point. The girl is like, are they going to eat us or like whatever? And then he's like, no, they only eat plants. He's like, but I'm sure he'll make an exception for you. That's what the little kid says to his sister, and they just blow right past it.
In the chase scene too, where Grant's with the 2 kids, he like pauses in the middle of like this horrific scene and goes, "Look how it eats."
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Bet you'll never look at birds the same." And I'm like, bitch, get out of there. That T-Rex is devouring everything in sight. And he goes, wow, his scientist gears can't stop.
Yeah, and then she's like, okay, can we go now? And he's like, yeah, 1 second. He's like, let's just take this in for a second.
Wow. Imagine a hot dog. Yeah, imagine how fast you could eat a hot dog.
He's terrified in every other scene with the T-Rex. And in that one, he's like, nah, we're good. We're behind this log.
Yeah. So that's all I have for line. There are a lot of good quips. This movie's funnier than I remember, with a lot of cheeky little lines, but I think
especially Newman.
Yeah, Wayne is great.
He is so funny. His first scene where he's meeting with that guy, he is like yucking it up. Yeah. And he also just has
cheap on me.
He has a whole plate of desserts next to him for no reason.
Yeah. In one of his first scenes at his desk, he has Jaws up on his computer on a mini screen.
Yeah. And then he has a bikini lady
the babe is
always in the background. And then and his desk is just a mess.
It's like Quinn's desk.
They do recreate that in Jurassic World. Yeah. They're like the kind of like evil guy ends up being the guy with the messy desk. Of course. Which I guess that's, all right.
All right.
So whoever's got a messy desk, look out for them. They might try to steal dinosaur embryos. I love the scene where Newman dies, where he falls down in the mud.
That's probably the best.
And then the Barbasol can falls out. Yeah. It's funny because that doesn't really come back. Is that 2?
It comes back in later ones.
In Jurassic Park 2.
I think it's in 3. That's like how it starts.
They skip it.
Dude, the canon is so crazy. It goes out into games, a cartoon show, and like all this weird stuff. Like the things that are unanswered throughout the first 3 movies get answered in all these little weird offshoots.
You know what I noticed, and maybe I'm just like dumb, but they mentioned the Pirates of the Caribbean ride during this movie, and I was kind of like, oh, the movie didn't come out until like the 2000s.
It's been a ride for a long time.
Okay, and that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Was the Jurassic Park ride a ride before this movie came out? Okay.
No.
That's what because they really like, in this movie, you can tell they're like, oh, merchandising is going to be massive.
Yeah, a lot of people had a problem with that too. Initially, they were like, great, you're selling it to us before we even, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I like that, as Hammond is like this kind of megalomaniac Walt Disney optimist.
Oh yeah, he's like, we've
character.
spared no expense. And he's a billionaire.
That's a great
and
line.
They just keep repeating it. Everybody does.
We spared no expense.
Yeah.
He like comes over the intercom and he's like, don't worry, we spared no expense.
He's almost like the KFC Colonel.
That's my recast. Oh, really? My recast is Colonel Sanders
No
as
way.
Hammond, I swear to God.
Wow, we truly are a hive mind. It's funny.
I mean, the opening scene where they first lay eyes on the dinosaurs
Yeah.
is like such classic Spielberg scene, and kind of like Jaws in the way he like hides the beasts from you and just shows the people's the taking off the glasses and being like, Grant's face is like messed up, and then he grabs Sattler's head and like turns it, and Goldblum looks like that opening scene's so great. You get the John Williams hit of the beautiful score there. They wander out fearlessly up to a giant beast. I know they know it's a vegetarian, but the way they interact with them is like as if they've interacted with them before. They're like, oh, these ones won't hurt us.
Right.
I'm like, bitch, this thing's half frog.
Right. They splice all the DNA with like a bunch of frogs.
Yeah.
And they use an animation to show that, which is like some Schoolhouse Rock ass shit.
That's exactly what it was supposed to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it like is like, well, hey,
I'm Mr.
kids.
DNA.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, Mr. DNA, didn't know you were here.
Yeah, well, I got some holes in me. Better fill me with frog bones. Whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, I thought that too. I was like, okay, they have studied, they're paleontologists. They know that they don't eat them, but they know that they won't like stomp them.
Yeah, they're freakish frog dinosaurs. Yeah, they are too careless with it. But then you get the feeding the cows to the raptors scene. I like that. Again, you're hiding the thing that's going to become like vicious later. You're not like, whatever, jumping the shark too early there. They're like, you just see the trees rustle and you hear all the crazy noises, and you get that good exposition there with the game warden and
right. I was watching this with our friend Hunter, and obviously guest star of HiveMind, Hunter Veers. If you want to see him,
Patreon,
become a member or join the Patreon. I was watching it with him, and he was like, they wouldn't have all that brush in there. He's like, any other feeding scene that you've ever seen, it's like an open area. Right, whatever.
But I think that's good.
No, I mean, it's good that they don't show it, but it is like dumb.
I think if you showed them like shredding up the cow there, it just like, I don't know, it jumps the gun a little bit.
Well, this is what I kind of like wrote in my scenes is like, I understand why they do it. You don't really ever see any of the beasts until they are an imminent threat.
Yes.
They want it to be like the shock of seeing it move around and whatever is like when you're already afraid of it. But at the same time, I think that's why the pacing of the movie was a little jarring to me. It is like the first time they go out anywhere on the island.
Well, it's so tight. They get there and it's that day.
No, I know. And that's why I think I wish that it was like it had kind of lulled you into a little bit more security on the island, feeling a little like safer. It just goes off the rails immediately as they get there. And I'm kind of like,
I kind of like that.
I don't personally, because I wish that it was like, I wish they felt like, oh, we will actually be able to learn something from being here and we feel safe.
Yeah, you get that in the first 10 minutes. And then after that, it's like this. You kind of the veil quickly falls that this guy's like, it's a rush job. He's over ambitious. He's just pouring money into something, and it hasn't even like when they're on the little tour cart in the very beginning, when they want to go into the lab, they just push it.
Yeah, and
that's a good little foreshadow of like, oh, this place isn't as battened up as you think.
No, there's like 15 people there.
Yeah.
It's like awful.
Yeah. I mentioned the weird projector scene. I do want to say in one of those, like on one of the projectors, it's showing, Jurassic Park Europe, this kids, it has these graphs, and then it has another one. It's a bar graph, and it says zoos, and then it says sports, and then it says Jurassic Park. So it's like Jurassic Park better than zoos and sports. Friendship better than tow trucks and nuclear bombs.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. Sam Jackson Siggs. Let's talk about that. I have the SIG count at 4. That might be too small. Maybe it goes up to 5.
It's like, why even do a SIG count if it's
Dude, he's only
4?
in like 5 scenes.
No, I know. It's just he's always smoking a cigarette.
And he's supposed to be in more scenes, but there was a hurricane in Hawaii that cut like filming short, and so that's why he dies off. That's why they do the arm with the much lighter black skin on it. It's like the shades don't.
Oh
match.
yeah, when I saw it, I was like, who is that supposed to be?
So they killed him off quick with the arm, which is a good way to do it, I guess. Little sidebar, another nod to his own movies. In that opening scene where like the guy is getting killed by the raptor and it's dark. One, I love how the trees are rustling and everybody's looking at a gun with guns and it's a forklift.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're about to see the dinosaur and it's just the forklift and it's all the man metal and lights and weapons. And then when that guy gets eaten up, it's very first scene of Jaws where the girl drowns.
Mm.
You can't see the shark, but she's flailing half her body. That's how he is, like moving up and down in the cage. Great, hiding the monster, watching the person dies. You're scared. The sick Triceratops,
Yes.
you mentioned. Great puppeteering there. That's like on a hollow surface, and they have people under it literally inflating something like with its stomach, and they're moving its head.
Yeah,
like
going,
yeah, as it goes. She also like grabs its tongue and is like, gross, like something's wrong with it. It's eating bad plants.
right. Yeah.
West Indian something.
Yeah, West Indian orchid or lilac.
Lilac, yes.
Yeah, and I love that she refers to it as a trike.
Yeah,
And
she's got a shorthand for it.
She's like, I'm gonna stick around with the trike for a little bit, which is a great little nickname for a triceratops.
Yeah, and you can't say that anymore. That was a very 90s term.
Right, I was quoting Dr. Sattler there.
Of course.
And listen,
No offense.
I ain't perfect.
You're not even close.
No.
The most iconic scene from this movie, when the T-Rex is approaching
Mhm.
and it's night and the storm has started to hit. And you see the water rumble.
The water from the mating ritual.
Yes, the water from the mating ritual. That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's just like hearing the keys in Jaws. Like, I think Jeff Goldblum, or the lawyer rather, is like, maybe the electricity is just trying to come back on. I'm like, yeah, what generator is like,
Yeah, that lawyer's dumb as bricks, man.
dumb as bricks. Classic scene. I think they redo that in 2 and 3. The water comes back, and that was done somehow with a guitar string.
Yep.
I don't understand really how that works.
I do. I understand that.
Yeah. That whole initial T-Rex rain kind of battle, the mouse trapping, if you will, which is a new film term I've learned,
Uh-huh.
where they're like setting up things that just like keep getting used. Like the way the car brakes, slides, goes over to the cliff, and then it gets stuck in the tree. Like things just keep like piling on one another. They even have to swing out of the way of the car.
Yep.
At one point, bunch of really fun stuff in there, movie magic. That car is really after them too. It's like they're stuck in the tree, one branch at a time. There's so many times that the car almost kills them.
And then the car lands on them at the bottom,
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, we're back in the car."
Yeah. So ridiculous.
Yeah, that part, I don't know. There's certain things like,
Yeah.
I get it. It's a movie,
It's-
whatever, but it's like dumb.
Yeah, it's nerdy, stupid movie magic stuff, but that's like all Steven Spielberg movies are like that at some point.
Yeah, but I love Spielberg's, like, how he creates, like, magic or whatever.
Yeah.
But when there's, like, an imminent danger in a Spielberg movie, I'm like, there's going to be, like, 15 things that happen that I'm like, that would never happen. This is fucking stupid.
Even at the end with the bones, the way they all break off, everybody's on a different piece, everybody's swinging perfect timing and like going around.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. The kitchen scene with the velociraptors.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty iconic. They trick them with the reflection.
Yeah.
It even tricked me this time around.
Yeah, this time it did trick me, too. I was like,
Got me.
she's fucked.
I was like, she's going to die.
Yeah.
Bad style.
That is a thing in movies that I just like am I'm sure they've done this in like Deadpool or something, but I was thinking about this with this movie where I was like, there's got to be a time where like one of the characters is just like, no, we're good. Like we're main characters. They're not like, or we're kids. They're not gonna kill us.
Yeah.
Like because there's like 15 times when the kids should die, and they're just like getting out. Like I know they're gonna get out of it, so it's a matter of how.
Yeah, there's a nod to The Shining there when Danny hides in the cabinet from Jack Nicholson. Kind of same deal there, except instead of Jack Nicholson, they are queer trans velociraptor blockbuster icons.
Yes.
So trans rights. Great little scene. I love how Hammond initially is just eating ice cream while his grandkids are getting ripped apart by, theoretically ripped apart. He's like, freezer's turned off.
Also, Sattler at no point is like, where is Alan?
Yeah, no, she's good.
She's like back there like, okay, so we got to figure this out. And I'm like, dude, he's been missing with the grandchildren for like ever.
Well, she likes that he's spending time with kids.
No, yeah, she manipulated him into
children.
doing it. Yeah, she wants a kid and he doesn't want it and whatever.
Another tack on to the feminist reading of this story is that although they are together and that gets acknowledged like once by Grant to Malcolm, there's like no romance, which is great for 90s.
Yeah.
You know, like so many movies, like this would end with a kiss.
All right.
Any other director.
Yeah.
But you have instead Sattler as a feminist icon kind of leading the way here. And then Grant is kind of a doofus who has to learn to be nice to children.
It just gets a little heavy-handed though when she's like, I'm going, and then he's like, well, actually I should go, and he like even like is like footing around, like it's just dumb.
And she's like, we can talk about misogyny later. Like let's
she's like, we talk about sexism later.
Yeah.
But I'm going. Yeah. You know, whatever. I'm just like, it's a little too on the nose.
It's 93 though, and it's dope that was the case.
Yeah, no, I mean, I expected it from 1993.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that obviously the theme is cool. It's just how it's executed is a little too like, oh, you think I can't do this because I'm a girl?
Watch me.
And he already has been like sending dudes out. She's going with a dude.
Yeah.
Like he's like, you're going and maybe I should go because I'm a guy. And then she's like, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't go shoot a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be that like dumbed down.
Yeah.
You know?
You've already talked about Newman's death. Great scene. The raincoat there is an homage to the Goonies.
Yeah.
Which is great. During that scene, if you go back and watch it, or if you haven't watched it and you're going to watch it after this video, which is a weird backwards way to do it, join the Patreon or become a member. When he slips on the waterfall as he's going to put his wench around the tree, that's a car term.
You said wench, right? Okay, yeah.
He slips on the waterfall. Go back and just watch that scene. Spielberg literally puts in a cartoon banana peel slip sound for no good reason. He slips and it goes... like, wee! Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. I watched a breakdown before I watched it, and I was like, no fucking way. And then as I'm watching, I was like...
They also put a really, really quiet when he first confronts the dinosaurs out there.
Yeah.
They put really, really quiet. They put, hello, Newman.
Yeah, the dinosaur says that.
Yeah.
It's deep in the growl.
Right, yeah.
And you're like, wait, what the Jerry?
Yeah. And if you look really close in the corner, Kramer comes in and goes,
yeah, he says something else really quiet too, but you got to turn your volume up. Last scene I really want to talk about. The whole island setting is great. I love the setting, whatever. It's dope. It's Hawaii. It looks crazy. It looks prehistoric. But the last scene that I think is really fun is when there's two parallel things happening. They're trying to get the power back on and they're climbing the electrical fence. Mm-hmm. And I love that suspense. And then Tim gets fried. He blasts off.
Yeah, he's like,
and then later Grant's like, Tim, human piece of toast. Yeah. And then he's like limping over to the dessert table and his hair's all fried.
And he's got the pieces of the bandana on his hands. Yeah.
It's pretty good. But yeah, that's great because Hammond's like talking Sattler through how to get the power on. They're climbing. Grant's like, come on, hurry. And then right as it comes on, I did it. There's like the jubilation of getting the power back on. And then Tim just getting shit blasted.
Yeah, she doesn't even know she just electrocuted a kid.
It's great. There's an awesome continuity error in that fence scene too. When they're climbing that, if you see in the background, like once he gets over the side and starts coming down, there's a shot where the fence ends like 5 feet. So it looks like they could have just walked around. It's just, it's ridiculous. But yeah, great scenes. Good stuff.
They did it. It's about genetic modification and the modern overstimulation and greed make the dinos bigger teeth, all that stuff. And it centers around like basically Dr. Hammond's character is played by a young woman who is very money driven and she's hot, very hot.
Hey!
And then Chris Pratt basically plays like the Sam Neill character where he's kind of like Indiana Jones in it. And he's like, what about our second date? And then he's like, well, I'll go save your nephews.
Yes.
And whatever. But there's way more CGI and more like cool fight scenes and shit.
It's pretty much what I had down.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, and it is like they very much do the actual time lapse where they're like Jurassic Park happened 22 years ago. Now here's
Yeah.
what it looks like.
The theory I love, that's all I had for how it would be different today too. Is just it couldn't be done. There'd be less SIGs. It'd all be CGI. And they basically already did, and they all fucking suck. But the theory I love is that Chris Pratt is the turkey kid, the kid from the dig site that criticizes like Grant about the birds explanation.
Oh, okay.
And then he does the thing with the raptor claw.
Yeah.
Says from the side, which is again great foreshadowing there because that's how the game warden ends up dying. Is right from the side. But that kid in the right timeline is supposedly one of the Marines that saves them off the beach in Jurassic Park 3. And then that timeline adds up to where he could be in Jurassic World.
Well, Chris Pratt was in the Navy.
Yeah, there's a Marines that save him in Jurassic Park 3. And there's literally like a screen grab where someone's like, that's him.
Oh, okay.
That's Chris Pratt.
Right.
So
I guess, I mean, it would make sense, I guess. But the kid in Jurassic Park at the beginning with the whatever, his eyelashes are way too long.
yeah,
he looks
they're
like
fake.
a freak.
They're tack on. He's
Are they?
tacky. He's a tacky little queen.
Yeah. So he would never grow up to be Chris Pratt.
You spoiled mine.
Well, only one of them. I basically had two ideas for this. One, they already did the modern one, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I do think Kevin Costner or Bill Paxton would have been a great.
Oh, Costner
Sam
would have been
Neill.
awesome. Yeah,
You know,
Sam
like-
Neill's great though.
Nah, I don't like it.
Oh, I
it
love
gets so corny towards the
I'm
end.
horny for Sam.
Yeah, I just think it's corny. The other idea I had is the entire cast of Lost.
You love that, and it's the island.
Right,
Yeah.
same island. And so
Hawaii?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. They did it in Hawaii, but yeah.
Malaho.
Oh fuck.
Aloha.
And so Sawyer would kind
Aloha.
of be the Sam Neill, and Kate would probably be
Enough nerd
Evangeline Lilly would be
Yeah.
the Dr. Sattler character, and then I guess Hurley would be the sick Triceratops.
shit. Nice, I'm back.
All right.
I only had two, and you spoiled one. I had Colonel Sanders as Hammond, and I had a horse as a raptor in a funny costume. I'm imagining like a lo-fi one, like if we had to make it.
Right.
And it's like, let's say it's a $20,000 budget, and we just get a horse and like put big teeth on it or something, and it's like, and we're like, ah!
So you didn't really recast this.
Well, because they already done so many, but if we just did the original with horses instead of dinosaurs and funny, like it's like a parade, like one of those parades where they're like, this parade's been happening in Eastern Germany for 600 years, and it's like freaky masks and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's like a horse in a freaky mask. And then Colonel Sanders.
You kind of lost me there. I mean,
The chicken, dinosaurs turn into birds.
No, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like you should have recasted it a little bit.
Yeah, I did a lot of other shit though.
I mean, yeah, but like, hey, stop it. Okay. Have they done a Dino movie?
Yeah.
Like how they did like Epic Movie and Scary Movie?
Yeah.
They did?
Uh-huh.
And how did that go?
It's called Littlefoot, and she was murdered by her dad.
Nope, that's a cartoon. And yes, you're right about the voice actor thing, but that is not what we were talking about. Did they do like, because we could do Dino movie.
Where it's just the dinosaurs on spring break.
I was going to say just like we do all the
Show your
tropes of a dinosaur movie.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy that Jaws is about an older creature than Jurassic Park.
Awesome insight there.
Because sharks have been around for a longer time.
I think they bring in some water dinos in the later ones.
They did in Jurassic World. There's a huge water dino, and they do kind of a SeaWorld parody.
Hell yeah.
And it's like that huge one.
I'd love to do that with you, by the way.
What?
See the world.
Fuck SeaWorld, by the way. Free Willy.
Whatever. Free
Wait.
Willy till it's backwards.
Wait a second. I'm not sure if that's Free Willy. Really? No, Shamu. And conditioner. Come on, guys. We're just having a little bit of fun. It's okay to have fun on these videos too. I watched this and took no notes. All of my stuff is like off top. I'm kind of freestyling.
Enough with the fun. Let's talk soundtrack. There's nothing funny about that.
Every movie has a score, and I'll tell you what, this one won.
This literally wins. John Williams.
I don't know, but I mean, it's really great.
It's up there, dude. Like
Yeah.
I was watching it and my roommate woke up from a nap and it was like in the opening dino scene and he's in the kitchen. I'm playing it off my laptop and he hears like 2 seconds and goes, "You watching Jurassic Park?" And I was like, "Yeah, brother." And he like came and sat next to me on the couch. I'm like, watched like 12 minutes and was like, this score rocks.
Yeah.
It's like one you can just hear, you know, it's Titanic-esque. It's
Indiana Jones-esque.
in the pantheon of like, fuck.
Yeah.
If it's not just great, it's iconic, like to a T.
Can I quickly, you did not go to trivia this week because you were sick.
Yeah.
I did go. There's a new host of trivia.
Right.
And I just want to say that there's always a music round. So there's 10 songs played, and sometimes there's a theme. This theme was songs from movies.
Oh, fuck.
One of them was a song from the score of Home Alone by John Williams.
Yeah.
And this round was song titles.
Oh, perfect.
I literally
so alone.
I looked around and was like, nobody's mad about this. Nobody's mad about, like, somebody in our group was like, oh, this is from Home Alone. And I was like, cool. What's the name of the song? There are no lyrics. And it's like, so I don't even remember I don't remember now what it was, but I was like, they expected people to write down the song title of a score. That's insane to me. So I had a gripe and I couldn't believe it.
John Williams kills it though.
Yeah, John Williams that did that Home Alone one too.
Yeah, he hits, and the ending credit scene when Steven Spielberg's name comes up, he hits the 5 tones from Jaws that are used like in that score or something. He gives him like a little nod of the tip of the
cock.
sucked his dick. John Williams sucked off.
Yeah, he sucked him off. He sucked off Steven Spielberg.
I do want to know before we get to the very end here too, just because I'm loaded up with Easter eggs. Call me the fucking bunny. God, how's he gonna afford it this year anyway? Because the prices
of eggs. Yeah, the price of eggs. It's a big problem with Easter Bunny.
Richard Attenborough was also a director and won in 83 or 82 Best Picture for his movie Gandhi, BET. And then Spielberg cast him later. And like the main scene that he cast him for was like how it's like during his monologue, I think it's while he's eating his ice cream, about how he does the flea circus monologue. He's like, my first show was a flea circus and I wanted to just do more and like stretch the imagination. He like casted him because he was imagining himself delivering the lines and he knew only a great director could do it. And Spielberg's so egotistical that he was like, well, the only director I guess who's better than me is the one who beat me. So but I think it's great because Attenborough does a great job in this, but that's...
And R.I.P. to him. He died in 2014 at the age of 90.
Yeah, in a drive-by shooting.
Yeah.
He was at a liquor store at 4 a.m. shooting bones with a guy named Gandhi, ironically.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's very weird.
Rest in power, Richard Attenborough. And let's do the letterboxd.
No, we got to do the would you recommend it.
Let's do would you recommend it. Would you?
I said, oh yeah, this is a nice family watch.
Yeah. Of course I'd recommend it, but this movie is so old. I would really recommend it to people that watched it when they were a kid to rewatch it, because I do think there's enough in here for adults. There's enough humor and there's enough like kind of old Hollywood magic that it was like really refreshing for me, at least, to watch this, because it was like, fuck, they were like, you had to be so ambitious to try and make a big dinosaur movie when you were like just learning computers.
I mean, this is just like a movie.
Yeah.
Like back then, I feel like people were like, this is a movie. Nowadays, they want to make you believe that you're almost watching something that's not a movie, which I do also like.
Yeah.
But this one kind of like shows, like you can see them making it.
Yeah. They're like, welcome to magical dinosaur land.
Yeah, it's like, hello, I'm the weird character.
Yeah, I'm Colonel Wonka. He's like spinning his cane.
Yeah. He's like, dinosaur land.
Yeah.
Ooh.
More like lesbians.
No, see, I feel like you got to explain a little bit more about you didn't really explain that theory. You've been calling them queer trans velociraptors. Yeah, I just feel like nobody understands what you're saying.
Steven Spielberg did intend for Sattler, Laura Dern, to be a feminist icon. That was very intentional. The dinosaurs are gender fluid.
Are they?
They are, because they're all female, so they can't reproduce. But with that little strand of amphibian in them, Grant explains this at some point in it, not DJ Grant, chill out. Amphibians, when they're in the wild, in environments that lack male other amphibians, they can switch genders in order to reproduce.
Right.
And I read today that there's a type of squid that can detach its dick and it goes on a suicide mission to fertilize eggs. That's just cool.
Yeah, okay.
There's
That's
eggs
separate.
like over there and he sends it off like a missile.
Like a torpedo.
He kamikazes eggs with his cock.
Yeah, he's got a kamikaze cock.
That's dope. It's got nothing to do with feminism. But the dinosaurs are gender fluid. We have the woman inherits the earth from the crazy dumb men who make dinosaurs who eat them and destroy God. Which is badass. You're welcome, ladies. No more God to worry about. And then you have the female seatbelt scene, which obviously is so stark imagery.
Right. No, yeah, we talked about all those things. You've just been calling them gender fluid, so I was like asking about that.
Listen,
part.
I read an article from an academic that said the Velociraptors were the first queer trans blockbuster cinematic icons ever. And that was a line I didn't think I was going to read today.
Why is academics talking about Jurassic Park?
Dude, because he's gay. Because he's a gay woman. That's why. No, but that's a sentence I never thought I'd read. And so I had to just go out there, read it. I read a 36 whatever line Reddit thing too, where someone like says the theory and then 35 angry men said, will you quit fucking ruining movies for us? It's too woke. It's too woke. I worked 80 hours today. I don't want my dinosaurs to be gay.
Just let me have dinosaurs.
And then like the last one was someone being like, wow, really like this theory. Everyone's gotta chill out.
Yeah, like, I didn't know I was watching girl lizards.
Yeah, it's just like some girl.
I wasn't paying attention to that part.
Some girl basically being like, this is dope because Sattler isn't like sexualized and the dinosaurs are all women. The woman inherits the earth line. And then every guy was like, will you give it up already? It's just a movie. Sadly, I gave this movie 4.5 stars. You know what? Not sadly. Stand on business, kid. That's me. What up, Grape Street? Fuck, I shouldn't have said that. 4.5 stars. Yes, queen. Go ladies.
That's what you put?
No, I'm going to change it. I gave it 4.5 stars and I said, all women are cold-blooded.
Okay. No.
Yeah! Bitch ass, start that pig up. Girl, come on, get it out. Where'd you rate it? Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. Cry, bitch. Why'd you make it about women?
I hated that this movie was so woke. I gave it 3.5 stars and I said fun to watch, but also kinda for babies. All right, that's Jurassic Park. I'd rather go to Jurassic Park and get me some pickles.
Your bones aren't going to be crunched, but these cucumber. Classic Vlasic.
Yeah.
And that stork is the baby stork? Whatever. That's for another episode. And if you want to know what we're going to watch next week or whatever, or the following week, become a Patreon member or a member over on YouTube, and you'll know a week in advance so you can watch it. And these videos have a little more meaning to you.
Bingo. Dino DNA.
We love you.
See you in the next one.
Bye.